Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen, and I am joined as usual by my co-host and one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hey Omar, thank you for having me back as always. Love being here, love doing this thing, love talking these movies, sharing things back and forth. One guy has seen it, one guy hasn't. Usually movies, sometimes it's TV shows, documentaries, music videos, everything in between. We do anime, we do action, we do 80s, we do 70s, we do historical, we do sports. Um,
We
we
do
also do what we
anime.
are. We do anime. We also do what we are covering in this time of year, which is the award season kind of movies. Um, the movies, particularly that Omari is
Doesn't often
has
get,
a blind spot for.
yes.
But this is one of the rare weeks inside of this season where you get to send me something.
That is right. I have brought us a recent Oscar winner from as recently as 2019. I brought Parasite.
Parasite 2019 rated R. Greed and class discrimination threaten the newly formed symbiotic relationship between the wealthy Park family and the destitute Kim clan. Written and directed by Bong Joon-ho, as well as written by Han Jin-won. And then it stars Song Kang-ho, Lee Soon-kyun, and Cho Yu-jong. It is a Oscar Best Picture winner. It is winner of Best Director to Bong Joon-ho, and it is winner of Best Screenplay, as well as also winning the Best International Film Award that year, as well as being nominated for several other awards, and then winning and being nominated for several awards beyond the Oscars as well.
Indeed. So yeah, I recently got thought about watching this. Well, when it came out and I heard that it won an Oscar, I was interested in watching Parasite because I was mistaken about its namesake. I thought it was like, oh, live action version of some random anime from back in the day called Parasite, the Maximum, whatever. But, clearly it wasn't. Had I looked at any trailers, it wasn't. But we were coming around time for this season and I needed something. And I'm like, you know what? I believe this has come up in a conversation before, but I'm pretty sure neither Bill nor I have seen it. So I'm gonna go ahead and watch it so that when the season comes around, I can recommend it.
Clever,
And
clever.
so that's what I did. I recommended this movie because
I
I
like how
hated
this show is influencing your watch habits even outside of the things that I make you watch.
so that I can just so I can contribute to the show more. But yeah, so I brought it up, so I brought it in last week. I decided to, bring it up forward. I'm like, you know what? Let's watch this movie because like I said, watched it recently and was like, yeah, let's see, let's get Bill's opinion on this, one way or the other. Because I made the decision when I watched it, whether I liked it or didn't, I was gonna recommend it because that's how conversations start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
This one has like it was always from its award season talk, even before winning the Best Picture, it had gone on a list somewhere in my brain as something that I always mean to watch. Um, and then, it just doesn't happen. Sometimes those it just doesn't happen with some of those movies. Knowing that it's a drama, that it's dramatic, will sometimes, like, depending on my mood of what I'm trying to think about watching, will sometimes take it down a notch. Being pretty sure that it might be kind of slow and plotting, maybe that'll take it down a notch depending on the night that I'm in. Knowing that it's subtitled might take it down a notch depending on the night and mood that I'm in. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie that it was a tough nut to crack once I didn't immediately watch it once it won Best Picture. Um, uh, and it just one of those things that never happened.
Huh? That is entirely fair. So that said, what were you expecting?
Um, well, I was expecting I knew that it was going to be a mix of genres. I already kind of knew that ahead of time. Thought that it was going to be more v- playing on the line of horror.
Yeah,
I thought I kind of I kind of expected a lot of the movie that I got, except for I thought that there was going to be a turn sooner in the movie, and I
yeah,
thought more than just like direct man-on-man thriller. I thought there was going to be like a 65% of the way through the film it turns to maybe even a slightly horror leaning film.
yeah. A
Which
name
this
like
never really did.
Parasite makes you think something like that because I had a little bit of those suspicions, even if it wasn't gonna be like the namesake anime thing, which could also end up being horror in its own right. But this, I'm like, yeah, there's probably still gonna be some different kind of horror. What's the Parasite? So I guess that's it. We'll hop right into it. So initial reactions as the movie starts.
I mean, I think it it is incredible at depicting the our lead family's life and their characters right away. Right away. And I think like I understand the idea that we kind of struggle with throughout this season in general of just kind of like, frankly, Oscar usually equals boring kind of thing. Um and 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 that can be true from a certain point of view, but like the thing that also gets to come with these movies is just like incredibly well thought out dialogue. Like every word is often thought about immensely. And then particularly when you have like one of these auteur films, the every camera movement, that like this isn't just it goes beyond some of the other films that we watch, some of the movies that we watch here on this channel,
Yeah.
um, and starts to approach something different. And I feel that right away right as this film starts, as we're going through introducing the family, as they're struggling to find their Wi-Fi signal, or a Wi-Fi signal that they can steal, not their Wi-Fi signal, a new Wi-Fi signal that they can steal,
2G
um,
Coffee House.
to the conversation, or to the pizza box folding, the fumigation, and then the conversation with the pizza owner. All of that encapsulates and tells us who this family is so much, and it's so well done.
Them sitting there tanking the fumigation. No, let the fumigation come in. Free pest control. Kill the crickets. Yeah, but that's literally poison gas, homie. Like that affects us too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can add that, like, there's the movie's kind of telling you what these people are as well. Like they are getting fumigated, kind of
Yeah.
thing. The city is fumigating them, kind of thing.
Uh,
Is also a whole other layer to look at that scene through. But yeah, absolutely. Nobody should be eating off of those pizza boxes. I thought when the woman was going to start complaining, I was like, oh well, yeah, obviously they all reek of some fucking nasty ass chemical. And then she was just like, they're bent and folded badly, almost a quarter of them. It's like, oh well, that's the
like
least of your concerns,
yeah,
lady.
one of them wasn't folding them right, so it's like one in four of these is just terrible.
Yeah, and then
Like,
you have that shot of all four of them looking down the hallway at different points. It's just it's so good.
yeah. Um, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like you said, it puts the perspective right on there. And then you got a guy coming in to help set this thing off. I'm the friend of the family. I brought this rock. Also, hey, there's this girl I'm really interested in, and I don't trust anybody else to teach her. But you, the homie, I don't know, you'll never betray me on this stuff. You'll keep her safe until I can talk to her, when she goes to college. I want you to tutor her. And I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out when I first watched it. I was still trying to figure out who the parasite was. Or I'm like, I guess we'll figure it out when we get here or whatever. And like you said, Oscar equals boring, that talk. It feels slow, but you're still intrigued enough to know what's
I
gonna
mean,
go on.
it is it's slow, quiet subject matter, but it's paced very quickly, I feel
I think
like.
that's a good way to put it. That's what I'm saying. You feel slow, but you don't linger on anything too
Yeah, I
long to where
mean,
you lose interest.
yeah, in reality, it'll end up jumping forward a little bit, but in reality, we have the entire family set up with jobs, working with the family before like the 40-minute mark.
Yeah,
Maybe even sooner than that. I feel, and to go through all of those different moments of going to
yeah,
the house, introducing, starting your job, starting your con, getting the next person fired, getting the next
yeah,
family member hired.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I agree. Because I did not know that that was what the plot of the movie was eventually going to be. I'm still wondering what this whole tutoring thing's gonna be, like with the parasite thing.
mhm.
And I thought he had an interesting tutor technique. Who cares if you get the question wrong? Power through the test. I don't care if you get number 24 wrong. You get the whole thing right. I'm like, that's an interesting technique. And then he mentions, oh, hey, art person. And I'm like, oh, it's us. We're the parasites. We're scamming people. Okay. And sure enough, though, his sister comes in, and then before they even bring in the parents, when dude actually like is trying to teach the girl, because at first it still seems like it's just gonna be the two of them, as far as I could have told when I watched it the first time. But then girl holds his hand upstairs, and I'm like, uh-oh, she likes you. You better back up. Oh no, you went for it.
Yeah,
Dude
their
just
very
said,
first
screw it.
private tutoring session, they kiss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, oh, you went for it immediately. Okay. Uh
another thing I like. I feel like there's a lot of like I've been thinking about this film a lot, and I feel like there's a lot of they put in a lot of things. There's a lot of show not tell, and there's a lot of exposition that's very quick and very brief, where you need to infer. A good example of that is the siblings at the front door of the wealthy family, and they do that like do of their bit of like we met at English school
Illinois.
and you
Yeah,
call me Jessica, I
Jessica.
call you Kevin, we do whatever. And it's very clear that like, okay, this is the little game that they have to memorize their cons of things. And then um, there's a lot of references to the family formerly being wealthy or having money. Like and then apparently I was reading earlier today that there's even a lot more things that you would know if you were Korean. For instance, the specific words that his friend Kim refers to of Art University Academy or something like that is like very
Rich,
like
rich people.
that's like you pay an arm and a leg to be at that school kind of thing. So if at one point she attended that, um, uh, so yeah, I feel like I don't know how long it's been cons, but there's also all those different dialogues of him starting businesses and how he was having to pay. Mom is a silver medalist in the Olympics. And that's just like a single line of dialogue and her one and the medal on the
On the
wall
wall.
that they go to at the towards the end. Um, yeah, I just love all the little subtle hints. And then since we're basically there, her standout moment for me is her initial entry into the con, the sister. Like the sister is one of my favorite characters, and her con character is hilarious. Just that incredibly stern, and
Get
it's
out of here.
a little
Go.
bit of the vibe of her brother's character, but like even farther. And yeah, immediately tells mom of like, get the fuck out of here. I don't teach with parents in the room. And then like yeah, and then she just pulls something out of nowhere of just like has did something happen in the first grade and it just happened to be the perfect thing to absolutely fucking set off mom. And from like literally from that moment forward,
Yeah.
she could have she could have done anything she wanted.
I mean, it's funny because she was just like, yeah, this is what we call the schizophrenia zone. Did something happen in the first grade?
It's kind of the first our first like almost jump scare of the film. That's the first that's like that's moment one where I'm like, is this movie about to change? I'm on my tiptoes, like the entire movie, being like, is there it
Yeah,
feels like
what's
a movie that's going to have a different movie inside of it. When and what is going to happen and when is that going to happen? Because I can feel the different genre living inside this movie. And like I said, at the time I was like, I don't know if it's horror based as in just psychopath kind of horror or like mystical horror, but I thought it was going to be more horror instead of more just like one scene
yeah.
that's strong and other than that it's more of just kind of like a thriller at the
Mhm.
end there.
Yeah. Yeah, and as they get the people into the gig, they get the dad to drive, the mom as the housekeeper. I felt so bad for that housekeeper that they got rid of at first and then later. But I felt bad for
Oh
that
yeah.
housekeeper because
Yeah.
they were
You
like,
feel bad for that housekeeper pretty consistently.
yeah,
And for different reasons.
yeah. But when they're like, oh yeah, with just peach fuzz, she's allergic.
Yeah, I was like, are you gonna kill this bitch?
Yeah, that's what I thought, dude, that they were killing her. But they're like, no, just make her cough and look like she has tuberculosis. And the crazy thing is, the fam they chose the right family because this family just, for whatever reason, are so uncomfortable with admitting like the reason they're firing or getting rid of somebody that they don't even tell them what the lie is. Like it doesn't even get a chance for the lie to come out. The
Yeah,
panties
they make
found
it
in the
seem like they're
car.
just like it's time for a change. We have to
Yeah.
part ways.
Yeah, the
And
panties found in the car. Rather than being like, "Why you fucking in my car?" It's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna let you go." The
speaks to their relationship to where he was immediately just like not your yeah.
yeah,
Is
yeah, oh
immediately
yeah.
like that driver's a piece of shit.
It didn't question it at all. Just like
Yeah.
that driver's a piece of shit, and then the
Well, they
tuberculosis.
call it cheap. They call them cheap
Cheap
panties.
panties, which probably is the other reason why he knew they weren't hers. Also, I like the little through line that first starts with the kid bringing it up, but it remains a through line through the movie when it comes to the smell that the people have. I like that the kid first mentions it because if you're watching, you're just like, yeah, the kid's pointing. The kid doesn't realize it, but he's on to the fact that these people are all related. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, they smell the same. So does Mr. So and so and the art teacher. Hmm.
They all smell exactly the same. Yeah, man. Like that's the other like it's for me, that's it's done so well because that's like the smell is our pressure point that slowly builds with our dad
Yeah.
and eventually is the thing that like that
The
bursts. But yeah, it is a slow incremental starting with a oh, they all smell the same, ending with a roll down the window and like lean out the car. Like I'm disgusted with you kind of thing. That is it's a very slow build and it's a very consistent reoccurring thing, like you said. And yeah, it's I
Yeah. Yeah, I did like that whole through line with the smell. Um, but yeah, we get to the point where I'm like, okay, they all got jobs. This has to blow up in their face somehow. And then they're like, oh, family went on vacation? Let's just house party in the rich people's house. And I'm like, oh, that's just asking for trouble. And then we see lady cut the security camera. Like what? It was one thing when the cleaning lady showed up out of the blue to be like, "Hi, I know they're out of town, but I need something I left downstairs." You couldn't have come while they were still in town to get it. You're a
weird
friend of the
energy.
family, buddy. You're a
I
friend of
I
that family.
I
They
thought
regretted letting you go. You could
yeah,
have come back to get your thing.
once she got inside and she started going for that weird basement door, I was convinced she was robbing them. I mean, the entire time until we reveal the her husband living in the secret basement. I all the way opening that, moving the bookcase, opening that. Oh, there's a secret vault. There's a secret vault that
And she's like,
and
I'm taking this money and getting
and
out
they're
of here.
robbing. And it was my wife who's the smarter one of the pair, who was like, what if the family doesn't even know that that's there, hun? Or whatever she calls me. Uh, and I was like, oh, what's down there? And then it's husband reveal. Yeah, but she was the one who called out of like, what if the family doesn't even know that's there? She's a carryover from the guy who built this place, who was an architect. And I was like, oh my God, what's down there?
Yeah, and when she was first showed up, I'm like, they let her in, and she's like, "You want to come downstairs and see it with me?" I'm like, "She's killing all of you. It's made revenge time. She found out you fucking put the peach fuzz on her, and she's gonna fucking kill you." Like that's what I'm thinking. She's like, "Y'all screw me out of here. Come on down to the basement real quick. I'll pop you off one by one." But then it turns out the husband's there. I'm like, "Oh, so she's the OG Paris." She's got her husband down
Yeah.
here just living the good life. Well, good life. Um, living off
It's
of the
just a
rich
little
people.
while ago because they're like that's we're also painting that like the family is blind to it. Just a little bit ago, 5 minutes ago, movie time, they were having a conversation about how all four of the people that they got fired, or I guess they only technically got two people fired, but both of them got jobs immediately. They're perfectly fine, no big deal, even though they are in the same position where they were all out of work for months straight. Um, yeah, and then immediately, obviously, the reveal that no, we're all fucking poor and struggling here. And I was doing the
Yeah.
same exact thing you were.
Yeah, and then it turned around, and that's when the movie started to turn. We get our turn because rather than let's all get along and find a way to coexist and rip off these people, it became no, the people fell down the stairs, so she put it together, filmed them, and now it became a fucking fight for who's gonna do what now. And big fight breaks out, people get in the room, and then we get the call. Yeah, it's raining too hard. We're coming home tonight in 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Cook us his favorite food because he's sad and it's his birthday.
What the f is this kind of food? Which is crazy that she said that when she hung up because I expected her to know it. That's just me being ignorant, of course. I'm
Right.
like, I don't know what this is, but sounds like a Korean dish to me. They're gonna make it. And she's just like, what the fuck is this dish? I'm like, oh, it's rich Korean food. Uh,
It may even be from a different culture's food. I guess
yeah,
it's just something that's ubiquitous enough that the mom, thinking that she hired someone from a world class, top of the line house manager agency, would be like, oh, well, all of the
yeah,
100 staple ingredient or staple meal things.
yeah. Go right ahead, make it up. We'll be there in 8 minutes. It should be almost done at that point. Okay. Gotta clean the house and keep fighting, take people downstairs and tie them up. Now, what I thought was crazy, dude gets tied up, or while they're downstairs, dude's banging his head on the wall. Respect! Banging his head on the wall. And he mentions, hey, look, if I press these lights, I can do Morse code. The kid knows Morse code because he's a scout. Okay. You think you accidentally killed this man's wife. Why are you letting him able to move at all? He knows Morse code. He can tell somebody. And it's not like he doesn't try. Luckily it didn't get revealed. I mean, there wasn't enough time for that to get revealed,
Yeah.
which
Well, they're con men at this point, but they're not killers yet. I think Dad is prepared to be a murderer via indifference
yeah.
at one point here. After we get both couples downstairs and Dad's like, "You two go wake up tomorrow not thinking about this ever again." I think, and I got it. I have a plan. Don't worry about it. And then at one point later on, the son's like, "So what's the plan?" And he's like, "The perfect plan is to have no plan." And I was like, "This motherfucker's just gonna leave them down there and just literally forget about them." I think that's his plan at that point.
Exactly. Like, you know what? Now, because why would you go back down there? You're risking a lot. But because he doesn't want to tell the kids that, and the kid starts getting a lot of guilt. By the way, they end up having the whole awkward hiding under the table and beds and stuff while the couple fucks on the couch and talks about how it stinks in the house, where we get another part of the through line where it's like, oh no, I can't really describe the smell, but it's not a good smell.
Like if you boiled rags, and then he immediately looks down at his shirt and smells his shirt. Yeah, this is at the point where he's like, yeah, he's starting to feel really bad when they say that. And so me as an audience member is feeling bad with him.
Yeah, it does feel bad, but they go home. They when, by the way, love the walkie-talkie talks with the dad and his son, like the rich dad and the rich kid. Over. Da, 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 da.
Over.
Over.
Yeah.
I love it. Over. Because the kid's like trying to mimic his dad too. Over. So that was cool. But yeah, the awkward, they're on the couch and they're just like, well, awkward for the people underneath the table, not for the people on the couch. Where they're just like, yeah, let's just fucking do it. But what if the kid comes out if it's 10? What if he doesn't? Right.
Spoken like a dad.
So they get out of there and they go home, but the rain's ridiculous and it floods the street and floods their home with sewer water. And
Yeah, it's
personal,
gross,
yeah,
yellow, brown water.
yeah, it's gross. The water seeps into the metal frame because they framed the metal. Why wouldn't you? And it started to seep into that, and it's all yellowish. And then the toilet's like bubbling over constantly. And what's her name? And the sister sits on the toilet and starts smoking. And I'm like, damn, that's gotta suck. And that's when they go to the shelter and have their thing. So the next day, when everybody gets invited to the party and the mother's driving around in the car with, oh, sorry, the rich mom's driving around in the car with the dad, and she does the roll down the window. I didn't even think of it as his usual smell is throwing her off to that way. I thought of it more as a this motherfucker was knee deep in sewage last night, if
Oh
not
yeah, I mean
higher.
he's probably the worst he's ever smelled.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm like, I think your smell's been intensified because you were in sewer water all night, buddy. Uh, but obviously you're not thinking about that, in the moment if you're the person that people are going, ew, stinky. You're like, you're just looking down on me because you rich.
Yeah, that doesn't make you not feel bad about being stinky.
Yeah.
When even though you have an excuse about why you're stinky, it's still you
Yeah.
feel bad that other people are actively smelling you, not that you don't know why you're stinky.
Yeah. So we get to the party, dude, and things would have been fine if not for guilty conscience by main character who happened to bring his lucky rock along from his best friend. Not exactly sure why he brought that, but
He had a plan. He
not,
came there with a plan.
not sure what the plan was.
He was going to kill them.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. I mean, it's show not tell. Again, like I was saying,
Fair.
but yeah, I think he's doing facial acting of dark thoughts and sadness and like things that you were saying. Um, he pre-plans, brings this big ass rock without the base on it, without the base, just bringing the rock in a bag. Uh, the his girlfriend is like, you weren't there mentally when we were just making out. What the fuck were you thinking
Yeah,
about?
I thought he was thinking about freeing them because
And
his guilty conscience wouldn't let them stay locked down there.
then when he goes down there, I feel like as he's walking down there, he's actively holding it in murder weapon position. I mean,
That's
I
fair.
get this might be the obvious way to carry that rock. Um, but you could also carry it like this. You could
Yeah,
carry it like this in your arms.
yeah.
Um,
You
uh,
bring up a good point. I didn't think of it that way. I thought the dad was more of the
he was sneaking down there, and then he's bummed when the thing falls and alerts everyone of
yeah,
his presence. Yeah, I think he was going down there because either he was like, I'll fix it because dad won't, or he realizes that dad's plan is to do nothing and let them starve to death,
and just
and
might as well end it
he
quickly.
thinks he's at least doing the humane version of that, maybe.
So yeah, goes down there, finds the wife already dead, from what I can tell.
Yeah, it seemed that was a lot of blood. I think we were basically seeing her death scene
Yeah, when she's like,
at the
"Remember
end
the
there.
name, Chong Suk." It's like, all right. And then, sure enough, dude who had banged his face bloody with Morse coding all night seizes his opportunity to choke main character, chase him upstairs, and I thought he had killed the main character. I'm like, damn, MC dead right there with the rock.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how he is not dead.
And he got
I
hit
mean,
twice too,
he had to have brain surgery,
and he was
and he
out
was
for a month.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's realistic. And I do know people who have survived gunshots to the back of the head. Um, so I guess, but that's still crazy in a movie that he survived that. I don't, but sorry, but yeah. And then dude comes upstairs, and they're trying to get over the kid's trauma. This is his trauma cake. By the way, I like the way the rich family treats each other at the very least. Because they're like, okay, we got this big party thought out. He really likes Native Americans. We're gonna have the whole thing. He saved the day. Blah blah blah. Have some fun. Fun time for the kid. All right. And dude just comes out, stabs the sister immediately. Oh yeah, the first great thing that happened was dude came upstairs and the kid saw him one night and traumatized the fuck out of him. So now here he is at his first birthday party or his one of his birthday parties where they're trying to get over it. And here he comes out and legit stabs the art teacher, like as far as the kid can tell. Kid
Yeah.
passes out, immediate seizure. Um, and then turns around and starts attacking the mom, like Chongsu. And I'm like, damn, she gonna die too. But she doesn't. Instead, she stabs him. And then as everybody's panicking and everything's going down, he goes to grab the keys because he has to throw the key because our dad tries to throw the key to the rich dad. And rich dad has to pick it up from downstairs, man. And when he picks it up, the smell of a man who's been living in a basement for the past 5 years. Um, oh God, that was it. That's all he needed to see. Dad Kim walks over there, right in the right in the like shoulder area, dead immediately. And I thought the system when the
The
system was
heart.
like, yeah, when the system was like, damn, he stabbed him. Like that's the look she had on her face, like, holy shit. I'm like, wait, you gonna live? Did he not hit you in a vital enough spot? Nope, she's the only one in the family to pass. Dad escapes, mystic in the night. Turns out he pulled the rope a dope on everybody. Took advantage of the fact that the previous cleaning lady cut the security cameras and goes right back into the house and down into the panic room where homeless man lived. And then later buried to her. And main character and the mom get off scot-free. They have parole, but considering they literally killed a man and all the cons that led up to that, and a woman, like the mom's a double murderer, and she she gets off scot-free. Um,
Yep.
and they even end up rich in the end, because he Morse codes every night because, like you say, one line of dialogue. I was a scout too. It's like, well, he can read Morse code because he was in the scouts too. Son, here's a long ass letter. Hopefully, no one in this
Long ass
house.
letter. Like
Hopefully, no
you
one in
added
this.
subtext and chose like really big words when you could have chose smaller words. Like, give me the bullet points, bro.
Yeah, and all you
Literally right,
need is someone to
my
wake up in the middle of the
dearest
night.
son that I love so much. I hope you are able to view this letter. Like, come on.
I will send this letter every night in case you finally see it.
Did I tell you that the man down here used to use this for Morse code? It's what gave me the idea. Like, what?
I waited. I lived in this house for months and buried a woman in the backyard of it. I fear for my life every night because there's someone here 24/7. But, it's still like, the heartwarming aspect of it. And then dude either aspires to or actually does. I think he kind of it we're
I
led to
think that's
believe it was a
audience
dream sequence.
interpretation.
Yeah, where he's like, I'm gonna make enough money to get into the house and buy it so that you can come out of the basement and we'll live happily ever after.
I think I lean that towards fantasy, and the only thing that I think is telling me that is that both the son and the mother are visibly, strikingly aged in that sequence, and the father comes out almost the exact same way he went in, or
The last way he remembers them.
the last way he remembers him. That's what tells me in a movie that seems to be so specific. That's what tells me that that was fantasy there.
Oh no, I'm perfectly fine with believing it to be fantasy because of the snap back to him just like
Right.
looking normal. I'm like, so he was imagining that. Okay. But yeah, lots of good acting and stuff in the movie, but I think we touched on all the like main stuff that happened. So what did you think of Parasite 2019? Oscar
Uh,
winner, Best
it
Picture.
was it was okay. It was okay. No, obviously from the things that I've been talking about, I really loved this movie. Yeah, I thought it was beautifully woven. If is the best way I could. It Everything fell into place exactly perfectly, and I didn't even know any of it was gonna fall. And it all lined up so magically. And yeah, I adored it.
And definitely one of those movies, especially when you talk about all the preemptive lines and stuff and the deliberate choices they make throughout. Definitely one of those movies that at least one rewatch will be enriched by that because you're like, oh, they laid that seed early type deal. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know how many times I would rewatch it, but I had no problem rewatching it, in a short amount of time to do this. So it's a good movie. The acting is great. I feel like the dad, like the main dad, I've seen him in a lot of other stuff, but that could just be me being inadvertently rude. But he looks very familiar. Um, he did. I love the job everybody did in this movie. And you mentioned it, like you feel like it's slow, like because the subject matter is slow at the beginning, but it's very well paced. And by the time before you realize it, oh, we're going. So I thought that was cool. And I like the twist at the end where the guy just comes out and kills everybody because I did not see that coming 1 second. I did not know what was going to happen at this party to make it go
I
south.
thought, honestly, I thought it was gonna go bigger. The second that we reveal that that's what's about to happen, I thought it was gonna be
Oh, I'll agree with that.
like Tarantino of like stab, 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 like just going chest to chest to chest to chest kind of thing.
This is some fucking
Through the
Suicide Club
entire
battle
like
royale
a like
type
a
shit.
kill the rich ending kind of
Yeah.
moment. Yeah, I thought it was
I
uh,
did think there'd be more casualties from that altercation when he came upstairs. They're like, oh, this is gonna go crazy. But I didn't expect him to come upstairs. Like that thought never came into my mind until it started happening. And then I'm like you, I'm thinking it's gonna be a lot bigger. It still was
Yeah, man.
impactful, don't get me wrong,
Like
but
the assumed death of our main character was so blunt and so just like and boom. And yeah, it's a jolt.
yeah,
That is that is finally the like the movie's already been changing, but that is the moment where I'm like, okay, here's our final
yeah.
this is our moment here.
And with me thinking the main character was dead, I thought everybody was dying. I'm like, oh, our whole party dies. Main character just died. Yep, this dude's killing everybody. This is not going well for us. But yeah, that is 2019's Parasite. Great movie. Watch it. It's apparently on Netflix. It was on a bunch of other stuff that's hard for you to like find and watch, but Netflix works. Uh that was my discovery and tried to rewatch it this week. Like, Paramount not on there anymore. What? Okay, where else can I watch this legally? Nope. Okay. Google Apple, oh sorry, Amazon Prime doesn't work on the browser. Get it in the app. Okay. Apple movie. Get the Apple TV app. Fucking damn it. Get the so-so. YouTube. You usually let me rent these movies. Nope. Where to fucking watch this again? Because I watched it just fine a couple weeks ago, but then this time I was like, okay, oh, Netflix. All right, there we go. Worked. Check it out. Anyway, what are we watching next week, Bill?
Well, Amari, I've subjected you to it long enough. Um, we are past the Oscars. We know our Oscar winner at this point. Congratulations to Honora. Congratulations to Honora. Um, but we are past that. So I was thinking maybe we needed a palate cleanser.
Mm,
Next week we are going to watch Tammy and the T-Rex.
Hammy and the T-Rex. Sounds awesome. Well, if you want to catch
You
that or
watch it
catch
on Peacock.
watch it on Peacock. And watch a lot of other things on Peacock, like wrestling, or at least you used to be able to, maybe not so much anymore. But if you want
Yeah.
to watch some wrestling related content, we got a show called Mock Draft where we talk about wrestling and a lot of other things, but mainly wrestling that comes out on Mondays. We got the show on Tuesday. If you already watching it, this guy haven't seen, go ahead and check out some of our other stuff that we've done, including the past Oscar seasons and everything. We've been doing this for 3 years at least, almost going on 4. And we got yeah, we're about to hit year 4 sometime in the couple coming months. Um
And probably already topped the whatever one episodes because we're every week.
yeah, I mean, probably. Hmm. So we got that whatever we want. Speaking of which, Wednesdays, whenever it happens. Busy people, you know how it goes. Saturdays, however, the two of
Did
us, we
Jazz
have a
ever come onto my show in a tuxedo and quiz me? No, he didn't.
we did
Get
not.
into them whatever we want archives. Find some really fun episodes there featuring this guy.
That is correct. And then Saturdays, you got this guy over here with myself. We have a show called You Don't Watch Sports. It's 2 guys, 3 topics, help you sprinkle a little information into your casual sports conversation. Be a guiding light through the sea of casual sports talk. I also have a Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by. Streaming Earth Day 240. You know what that
Every day
means.
240.
Yes, sir. You got anything else you want to say to the folks, Bill?
Oh, so obviously, like you already talked about on mock draft, we talk about wrestling a lot. I watch wrestling. I like wrestling. I'm a fan of wrestling. I'm a fan of WWE wrestling as well as a lot of other wrestling, but WWE. And I am also a fan of comedy. And there's this weird off-branch comedy sector kind of branched off of the old College Humor YouTube channel, and it's now called Dropout. Haha,
Ooh.
funny enough, College Humor Dropout. And It is a wonderful network that puts on a lot of cool shows. And coming up here very soon, they just surprise dropped a trailer of their one of their long running shows, Dimension 20, which is a tabletop role playing game where they splice in graphics and
D20 and all that
animations and
stuff.
stuff like that.
Nice.
Uh, um, uh, yeah, Dimension 20 is going to have a special series dropping very soon that features the main Dungeon Master, Brennan Lee Mulligan, very hilarious, very awesome, as well as four role players who are Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Bailey, and Chelsea Green doing tabletop role play. And it will all be filmed and edited and spliced with animations and graphics and all kinds of fun stuff. And they're in a really cool dome kind of studio room that it's a very cool setup, and I know it's going to be such a good show. Like
That
I
does
couldn't
sound fun.
imagine picking four better people to do. I texted friend of the channel Jazz as soon as I saw it because I know he's into Dropout as well as being into WWE, and he responded back with literally the four biggest nerds in WWE. So yeah, I'm super excited about that show. Want to give it a shout out whenever it drops. But go to Dropout and check out Dropout.
All right. Well, there you go. Check out Dropout Dimension 20. We'll see you guys next week with Penny and the T-Rex. Thought I forgot. I didn't. See you next week. Adiosness.